All right, so we are recording now. And again, this recording will get sent out to everybody. You'll probably also post it online on Nursing Research Guide, all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so let's move some stuff out of the way. All right, so good morning all. Again, Rachel Walden. I'm the Eskin librarian. I definitely recognize some of your names because you've emailed me, which is great. I will probably show at least 1 or 2 slides that has my email on it so everybody can see it. But yeah, if you ever have questions or you need help with something, please email me. Happy to help in any way I can. Like struggling to find an article, email me. You've got your research question, PICO question ready to go, and you don't know what to do next, email me. If links are broken or if you're trying to click on something and it's not working, definitely please let me know on that so we can get it fixed. I know usually this time of the year, first of the year, some of our links are acting wonky because a lot of publishers and websites do really big like updates and stuff on their servers like end of December. And sometimes that stuff just doesn't push out really well. And there's a couple little things we need to go in and fix. So yeah, if you ever come across anything that's not working, please let me know. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is just do a super fast, like 5 minutes, just a quick reminder where everything lives on the website. So we'll start here. So we're on the Eskin homepage. Again, easiest way to get here, honestly, is just to type in Eskin in Google or whatever browser you use. We should be like one of the top results. In Google, I know we're #1. For the results list, that's our homepage. Also, all of the nursing websites, we are listed as like digital library. And I think we're under your like quick links, or we're on your pages like everywhere. So, but anyway, Google Eskin will get you here. Big things to remember is this nice gold. We're going to go with this is gold. This gold bar here right in the middle. This is like the library catalog search bar. So same concept as if you were at your public library and trying to look in their library catalog. This is exactly what that is. Main search bar is super great if you already know like the title of what you're looking for, especially if it's a book. So for example, I know this is a popular book. It helps if you spell it right. Barney's Midwifery. I know we own that. But if you don't know if we own it, type in the book title. If we own it, it's going to pop up. Again, most of our stuff I try to purchase in online format. So of course, if it's online, it's going to say online, nice little green. Full text availability. Click that button. Now you can read this book online. Depending on where it's coming from, you might can download chapters. You might can download the whole book. It might be a book that you kind of like borrow, like you would borrow like ebooks at the public library, so you can only have them for so long. Also, just remember, since you're off campus, every time you click one of those links to actually go to the physical item, book, or article, it's most likely going to ask you for your VUNet ID and password. So, just be prepared to type that a lot. Okay, so this one's saying it's been archived, which I'll have to look into that because we probably don't want that. But right now you can still access it. This one you can download individual chapters. So I'm gonna get back out of that. Also, other things to remember on this record screen, which is actually more useful for articles, but if you need the citation really quickly, there is the nice little citation button right here. It's still saying APA 6, but honestly, the differences between the 6th edition and the 7th edition are very, very small. And honestly, this one is not a great example because as you can see, it's listing all of the author's affiliations, which you wouldn't actually want to have in your citation. But that's just because the record looks like that. But usually articles, it looks a lot better. You can basically copy and paste it and you're good to go. All right, so last thing on the search like the catalog. Of course, if you just want to see a large list of all the databases we have, just use the database button. Journals list is all of our journals. Main thing I want you to know is always go to advanced search if you need the full text of a PDF. This is going to be the quickest and best way to find those. So you'll say, hey, this is an article, and then make sure you drop down and say this is the title, and then you'll just either type, paste your title from wherever. It could be coming from PubMed, it could be from Google, wherever you found that title. Just type it in or paste it. And if we own it, of course, it is going to pop up down here at the bottom. And then again, you just, some of them have a quickly download PDF button. It immediately pulls up your PDF set. That's all you need. Some of you might have to actually go into the record, just like how that we did on that book. And of course, there will be those view online buttons. Highly recommend, honestly, start at the top and just kind of work your way down. Sometimes you'll see like they have different dates. Sometimes you might need to look at those to figure out which one has the actual article you need, because we own a lot of journals across different like publishers. And like one publisher might have the last 5 years, but the other publisher has has stuff from 10 years ago. All kinds of copyright licensing stuff. But anyway, usually start at the top, work your way down. And again, if something's not working, pretty please do that reported broken link. Because again, we can't check all these all the time. So usually when people find that they're broken, that's the easiest and quickest way for them to get them fixed. And just to show you how the citation works on a record, this doesn't look a hot mess. But here's this article in APA. And this looks great. This looks like it fits the 7th edition. So if you just need a quick citation, do this. Also, if you use a citation manager, you can send this to your citation manager. Like I will show you before we finish up today. I really like EndNote Web, so I highly recommend everybody use it, unless you're already really comfortable with another one like Mendeley's or Tarot. But if you use EndNote Web, you can literally click that EndNote Web button and it sends it right to it. It's great. And then you have it, and then you can use it in your papers. All right, so the last couple things on the website I want to show before we actually just go to PubMed and do some searching is, of course, we do have live chat with a librarian. That is staffed, I believe, from, I want to say 8 a.m. So like 8 a.m. to 6 for sure. This is super great if you need, again, maybe something's not working, or maybe you just need help finding an article really quickly. You have the title, but you can't find it, or something's not working. This is great for that. Of course, you can put in other questions, like if you having trouble with like a research question, like you need a lot of articles for a paper, you can throw that in there. But just let you know, since it's a chat, it's more for like quick stuff that people can do quickly. So like really reference questions that are going to take a little bit more time, they're probably going to say, hey, we're going to send this chat and all your contact information. And if you're probably going to in there at some point say you're a nurse, and they're going, oh, we're going to send it to Rachel. So they'll just send it to me. So of course you can do that, but you could just email me directly too. Whatever you're really more comfortable with. It's going to get to me either way, and I'll definitely, help as much as I can. And usually I'm really good about answering emails, usually within 2 hours of getting them. And I do work 9 to 6. So if you send me something and it's after 6, I'll email you usually first thing the next morning. It might be a, hey, I got your email and this is what time today I can actually look at your email, and I'll email you back. But I'll at least say, hey, I got it. Other things to really keep in mind are our quick links over here. Highly recommend you use these links on this page because it helps it recognize that, hey, you're at Vanderbilt and you have a lot of access to all this stuff. And you won't get those pages that pop up that say, hey, this article is $25. So yeah, if you use these links, less of that's going to happen. So of course, PubMed link, CINAHL. If you're doing a literature research, I'm always going to tell you to search PubMed and CINAHL. And then last one, of course, up to date. Super great for just like quick information, or if you need any like, I don't know, they're clinical summaries. And a reminder, we do have the up-to-date app that you can get on your phone if you need it. I'll show you where all the instructions for that are. Actually, I'll do that right now. So most used resources, of course, this is a longer list of our resources past just PubMed and CINAHL. Web of Science is on this page, Clinical Key, Embase, some of our other bigger databases. Now, what I really want to show you is the research guides. So I know you've probably heard me say this at least once, but research guides, there's a nursing research guide. So if you scroll down, they're alphabetical, of course. So we'll go to the nursing one. So this is my page. Like this is my page. So anything I do, I'm going to post it on this page so you can access it later. So again, I'm going to share the slides that I thought about using. I'm going to share those with y'all just as like information to you'll have later. But also those slides are going to live on this page. As you can tell, this is the presentation I gave at the beginning of the year for all the new students. So it's here in a video format, along in handout format. So I'm going to re-update that with new slides because we've got a couple updates. So that will be up probably end of the week, if not by Monday. This is the latest one I've done a lit review. So if you're just really interested in searching, probably just look at this one. So it's very focused on lit reviews and it doesn't have a lot of the, hey, these are all the resources we have. Of course, the building's open. If you're local and you want to come in the building, open. You just need to make sure you have your badge and that you followed all the requirements from Vanderbilt, like you've done all the forms and all the symptom tracking and all that stuff. So just make sure you've done all that and then you can come in the building. Last thing I want to really show on this page is these are where all the textbooks live. Well, not all of them, but the ones that I know you use for your program that we own. I linked them out on this page. So as you can see, so these are all ebooks. Like for this one, I've only got like the 4th edition. I think y'all must be using the 5th edition because otherwise I probably wouldn't have written that. So same thing, some of them might be 1 edition older than the one that's on your syllabus. Usually that's not too big of a deal unless the edition is 5 years older than the new one. And if that's the case, I usually didn't post it because I knew it wouldn't be as useful. Really the only things you really want to pay attention to are when I have these little notes that say limited to 3 users. And that just means 3 people can access it at any one time. So if you try to click on this link and you get a message, something along the lines of, it might be an error message or it might say all the licenses are being used. Honestly, give it like 30 minutes or so and try again because usually whoever was looking at it will be finished with it by then. But also do keep in mind if you are looking at this stuff, if there's the option to download the chapter that you need to use, go ahead and download it and then just exit out of the book because that means it'll open up that license for somebody else. Or if it doesn't allow you the option for downloading, just make sure once you're finished with it, you exit out of it. So don't leave it up and then go, go have a 2-hour lunch and still have it up. So that, because I just blocked somebody else from using it. But yeah, and I've also got some of the websites I think that were listed on your textbook list syllabus. But if there's ever anything that you use a ton and you think it'd be useful just to have a quick link on this page, please let me know. I'll add it on here. I also usually try to keep last semester's textbooks listed too, just in case you need to look at those again. So they're here. And again, all their stuff is on here. Full instructions on how to find articles, journals, whole page on APA citations if you need help with those. And also, yeah, the app instructions. So everything is on this nursing research guide. And I'm always adding new stuff onto it. So it's a super good resource. Highly recommend. And also, since I can edit it, it's a lot easier for me to put what I know, like the questions I'm getting asked. I'll usually put those answers on that page. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get into PubMed because I know that y'all are definitely probably getting to the part of the year where you need articles for projects or you're starting to think about your DNP. I have chat. Let me check the chat really quick. You're starting to think about DNP projects. So you need to start again. Have y'all started working on your the matrix for your DNP project yet? No, not yet. Okay. So at some point you're gonna have to do a matrix and you've got to find I want to say 10 articles and fit them into this matrix and answer all these questions about it.
Yeah, it'll be this semester.
Okay, cool. So
they just had the talk this morning, Rachel.
Perfect. Okay. So you're going to be doing your matrix.
Minds are a bit muddled, I think, but yeah.
That's okay. That's why we're recording this, and I'm going to send all my notes later. But so yeah, you're gonna need to find 10 articles for your topic. And that's what I'm really gonna focus on today is how do I find those 10 articles? So of course you've got your question that you're interested in. Some people sent me some questions in the chat, so I'm actually gonna quickly stop share so I can look at those really quick. So okay, I'm seeing a couple things like standard order sets, racial disparities, racial minorities, cardiovascular. Okay, cool. So let me just go back to share screen. All right. So let's just start. I'll definitely look up some order set stuff too. But let's just start with thinking about like racial disparities, racial minorities. Because I know there's a lot of really good search terms we can use for that one. So with that in mind, you want to make sure you have a good question. And I know you'll be working on that next couple of weeks, really getting your question down. Pico format is great for that because it makes you really think, okay, who am I trying to work with? What's my patient or my population? What am I trying to do or what am I trying to change? And then outcomes. Sometimes you might have an intervention, like maybe you're looking at standard practice of care or what they've always been doing, or maybe it's a new drug that you're interested in comparing to or a new treatment option. You might not have an intervention though, so that's totally okay. So the main thing though, when you have your question, I need you to look at your question and pull out 3 main words. So let's say I think I saw a couple about, so racial disparities in cardiac care. So if I'm looking at that, my 3 main topics of that, obviously gonna be racial disparities. We're interested in cardiac patients. And we're really interested in like their probably treatment outcomes is a good way to measure their quality of care. So we could do treatment outcomes is like our 3rd main topic. So with that in mind, what I'm always going to tell you to do, you don't quite have to go in this exact order. This is what I do. I always start with the mesh database. So I've got my 3 words. I need to figure out what subject headings are being used. So again, those subject headings, quick reminder, somebody's read through these articles in PubMed and they've tagged them with the most important topics. And that's a really good way to just find those articles that are relevant. Because you know, these articles are long sometimes, and they might have an entire paragraph that talks about this patient's prior health history. But their prior health history might not have anything to do with any cardiac problems. And so you just don't want a lot of pull of stuff that's not on, like right now they're having cardiac problems. Or maybe 10 years ago they had cardiac problems. You probably don't want to look at that. You want stuff that's relevant to like the time period you're interested in. So thinking about that, I'm just going to start with my first one. Since I said cardiac, we'll just start with that one. So you're just start, let's see, I'm just going to do cardiac in general. You usually just want to pick like one word. You could do a phrase. They'll try to still match on a subject heading, but it might have not used that exact phrase. So usually one word. If you can narrow it down to just like one word, that's usually easiest. So now we can see cardiac, obviously it refers to the heart. So we could always use cardiac or heart for cardiac. We've also got, you can see there's all kinds of different ones like cardiac imaging techniques. All kinds of stuff. So I'm going to use the main heart one though. So I'm going to open that up. Looking at, so this is a subject heading, like the record. So basically it's like a dictionary entry. But if we scroll down, we can see all the different ways you can narrow this down. Maybe you're really only interested in like heart valves and not the entire heart. You could only search on heart valves. So this is a super good way to like narrow it down if you need to get more specific, especially if like you do the search on just heart and it's bringing you like 2 million results. See if one of these will be more specific so you can really bring that down. All right, so we're just gonna keep it with heart right now since this is an example. So I'm gonna do add to search builder, which puts it in the correct formatting. Because again, PubMed, it's a computer program basically. So you've gotta talk in the language that it understands. And this is what that does. So it's telling me heart's my word, and it's a subject heading. So only look for this in the subject heading section. What was the other one? Racial disparities. And this is where we get to see if I can spell, which I can't. All right, so it is telling me that it is using race factors for racial disparities. And I can see this because right here, you'll see that there's my term that I typed in, racial disparities. So that's why it's mapping to this page. Also, some other words that it might use for, well, it's obviously telling us race factors. If you scroll down, you see entry terms. These are really great to also use as extra search terms, because this is telling you that there are articles and authors out there who, instead of saying race factors, they always used more plural. So they always said like race factors or racial factors, which that doesn't seem like super big of a deal. But if one author never says race factors, but only uses racial factors, and you search for the exact term race factors, you might never see that article. Because again, it's matching on terms. So you just kind of want to always put in different variations. That could be singular, plural. Also, keep in mind if it's a term that they might spell differently in Europe, think about that. Because like sometimes they add some extra O's and U's, like with between color and color. So think about that. But I'm going to go ahead and throw that one in there. But since we're also talking about disparities, I know that there's also just, general health disparities. So I'm also just going to look up correctly. Once again, I spelled it wrong. All right, so we've got health status disparities, and you can see that that also mentions race. We've got ethnicity. So you could also use that one. So I'm going to, throw that one in there. Then healthcare disparities, which again is really talking about your actual access to medical facilities and services, which you'll see that in a lot of articles that are talking about like urban versus rural care. You'll see where healthcare disparities pop up. And of course, then we've got minority health, which could also be useful. So we could throw that one in there too. I'm not, just for ease of looking at where y'all can see the search. I'm going to go ahead, and then we added that one. And then what was the last one I said I was going to look at? So I said treatment outcomes is a good way to see like how these healthcare disparities or racial and ethnic disparities are actually influencing people. So treatment outcomes kind of encompasses a lot. As you can see, of course, does treatment outcomes. It also has clinical effectiveness, treatment efficiency. So it covers kind of a wide range. So it's a good one if you just need to see how just like really big outcomes. Like if you were interested in specific outcomes like decreased mortality or morbidity, you could actually use those terms too. But again, as an example, we're just going to keep it a little bit broader. So we're going to add treatment outcomes. All right, so from here, all your words are in this little PubMed search bar box. And then I hit search PubMed. And then now, so remember we were in the MeSH database, which is basically a dictionary. And now I'm actually throwing it into PubMed to actually find physical articles. And it's telling me there's no results found, which I totally expected, because right now I have every single one of these words combined with and. And considering race factors and health status disparities are similar topics, I would actually want to combine those differently and use that or. And so you'll see I just copied this. I'm just going to open up a PubMed or a Word document. So this is what I usually copy this onto a Word document or an Excel document, however you like to take notes. I recommend doing this because I will always also tell you when you're doing a literature review, you got to take notes. So those 10 articles that you put in your matrix, somebody's going to ask you how you found those. So you need to be able to say, oh, I used these 3 subject headings and then these keywords. So just keep that in mind. So take notes. Start now, taking notes. So what I'm going to do, so I've got, heart, concept 1, because we're looking at cardiac. Concept 2 is going to be my racial and ethnic terms. And you'll see I'm enclosing these, like I'm putting them in buckets. So we've got bucket 1, I've got hearts, I've got data in its own set of parentheses. I'm putting my race and disparity terms together because they're similar. And then we've got my treatment outcomes. And again, since they're all combined using that and, now I'm telling it, okay, I need you to find an article that has one term from each bucket. So now let's redo the search. All right, so now we went from 0, no results, to 22 by just fixing our ands and ors. And again, 22 is not a lot, and this is not a great search yet at all. But it's better than where we're at, which was 0. And now, though, what I would want to do is you're going to want to add in keywords. Like, you don't only want to search using subject headings, because again, for there to be a subject heading in an article, somebody had to add it. Like, there's a group of people out there, when stuff gets submitted to PubMed, they go through and tag, so add those subject headings. If it came out yesterday, there's a good chance it doesn't have subject headings in there yet, because over 1,000 articles are added every day to PubMed. So you want to add in keywords. Also, keywords are really good. Like, for example, when I said, what if the author never said race factors, but they used racial disparities instead? Like, you want to make sure you get both. And this is where I'd also put in the terms that I actually asked in my question. So this is where you could put in all our cardiac terms. So we could just do cardiac, we can do cardiovascular, all the different ways of saying that. I recommend doing this TIAB in brackets after any of your keywords, because that helps PubMed. So it's telling PubMed, okay, I need to look for this word cardiac, but I'm only interested in it if it's in the title or the abstract of an article. Because article records in PubMed have a ton of information. They've got all the authors' names, all the author affiliations, where the money came from the research. Again, who's paying for it? Tons of information. You don't really want to find articles that mention authors who work on a cardiac ward or a cardiac department. If you just use cardiac as a text word, it will pull up any article where the author's affiliation mentions cardiac. So title abstract works a lot better, because usually if it's in the title of your article, you know this article is going to be on topic. Or if it's like in the abstract, since most abstracts 300 words max, so they're not going to waste putting words in that abstract that the entire article is not about. So, and again, you can add as many words as you need. If you ever email me asking for help on a question, I'm going to ask what questions or what words you've already added in, and then I can help you like expand that, because you definitely want a couple. Like I usually shoot for 3 to 5 between each concept, depending on the topic. Also, depending on what I'm trying to get out of it. If I'm trying to publish with a journal, I might definitely do more. If I'm doing a systematic review, I could have 50 or more terms for each concept. Depends on what you need. So for this one, I was just going to do racial disparities. And even though I have it right in front of me, I still cannot spell it right. And I'm just going to do outcomes to get that plural in there. All right. So this search, a search like this will be really good to find your 10 articles that you need for your matrix. You probably need to expand upon it for your final, like your big final paper. You'll definitely want to add in some more words, but this is a good start, good place to start. All right, 22 to 200 just by adding in those keywords. So that really shows how important they are. Okay, so now we're just going to scan through some of these. We got cardiac rehab for women, different ages, risk factors. I'm talking about sex-related differences. So none of these look super great, which again is fine, because in all honesty, I still don't really like this search. I would definitely spend more time on it to get better terms. But let's scroll down. I did see one that actually looks appropriate. Here we go. So race disparities in the utilization and outcomes of TAVR. Okay, so aortic valve replacement. So this one's, pretty specific, so this is good. Let's look at this one. Again, I was looking for words that show up in this title or this abstract here. If you scroll down on your page, similar articles, like you find an article that is an amazing article and you're like, yes, I'm definitely going to use this one. Look and see what other similar articles it recommends. None of them might be good, but every now and again there's a good one in there because it uses like text matching for that similar article feature, so it's not real specific. It's just like all the words are in there, but they might not be combined the way you need them. But again, quick way to get some extra ones. You can also, cited by is only looking at articles in PubMed that cite this paper, so it's not like the best way to figure out who cited this paper. Google Scholar does a much better job. So if you find an article that's, again, perfect, exactly what you wanted, look it up in Google Scholar just to make sure there's nothing newer on that topic. All right, but what I actually wanted to show you on this page is the mesh terms. So if you scroll all the way down, you've got your mesh terms. So now you can see all the different terms that have been tagged for this article. So treatment outcomes, we can maybe also use postoperative complications. Complications are a good measure of the outcome. So it did use race factors. We got risk factors. This one even has, let's see. So it looks like this one actually looked at, just looking at the subject headings, I can tell that most of the patients that they're talking about in this article are male, because you can see it has the subject heading for male, and I don't see female in there. It also has humans, which good to keep in mind because sometimes articles are different topics. They're only doing those studies in animals. Or maybe they did a lot of animal studies and now it's clinical, but you probably don't want to look at the animal studies since y'all are dealing with, patients. And if that's the case, a couple quick ways to get rid of those animal studies. All of your ways to quickly narrow down without like adding search terms or different ands and ors in your actual search are to use these filters over here on the left-hand side of your screen. If you click up additional filters, it pulls up all your options. Ones I'm pretty much always use myself is I use language, because I know I can read stuff in English, but I can't read stuff in another language. I also use age a lot, because usually you're either dealing with adult or a pediatric population. And you can either get really specific with that age range if that's what you're interested in. Like I work with a lot of folks who are doing geriatric studies, so we'll use some of these like middle-aged or aged for those, so we can really focus in on that specific population. And the last two that I use, sex is always useful. If maybe it's a topic that has been studied in both males and females, but you're only interested in females, you could use that female. And then species. If you need studies on actual humans and not a lot of rat studies, which there's a lot, you can go ahead and use that humans one and it'll kind of kick out a lot of those extra studies that are not, they're on topic, just the wrong population. So yeah, these are super useful. And as soon as you click them on this page, it shows up on your home page so you can actually use it. So you'd have to click it again and it puts a little blue check on it, but it also is going to tell you at the top of your page, okay, humans is applied. So we were at 200. It took away 8 articles that were only about animals. And also, just I want to make sure you know that where this is at. If you go to the advanced, this is going to pull up your search history. So everything I've typed in while we've been on this is in my search history. This is super useful. Again, when I said to document everything, you can copy and paste this into a Word document. You can also download it as an Excel file. So however you like to save stuff, Like maybe you just want to have a folder and you just download everything as an Excel file every time you do a search so you have it in case you need to go back to it. Do that. If that's easier for you and you can remember that, do that. Because it'll tell you, okay, here's all my words are searched. Here's the exact number of results that it found. And it also limits or lists out which filters you used. If you search down, it shows you exactly what it searched. Like where I had TIIB, it wrote it out, so I know that that stood for title abstract. So yeah, this is a good way to quickly, if you need to document stuff or save it. You can also use the advanced search to build searches in here. Like if you wanted to do, you want to look for stuff for author or title abstracts in here too, and you can kind of build a search like word by word. I usually just kind of like I like my search to all be on one line. That's just like personal preference though, but if you like to build it like word by word, that's totally cool too. Whatever works best for you, do that. All right, so with this in mind, so you've done a PubMed search. If you are having a hard time and you come to me and ask for a question, I'm like, okay, what database? And you say PubMed, okay, next. You want to search CINAHL. So with that in mind, you use these same words in CINAHL, but of course, because it's a different database, it doesn't use the same formatting. So you'll just make sure you use the correct formatting. Again, we have the quick link to CINAHL on our homepage. So again, use that. It's the best way to get to it. Because also I can make sure if that link goes down, we know and we can fix it. If you get at it from other places, I can't guarantee I can fix broken links. But if it's on one of our pages, I can get it fixed. So like I did that mesh database, CINAHL has the same thing. They just call it CINAHL subject heading. So I would go through, I would look at my search. Okay, I used heart as my mesh term. Okay. I would look up heart in CINAHL. Okay, it also uses that as a mesh term. Perfect. You click it, it pops it over here. Again, I would go through and do this for all my terms. I'm only going to do 2 for an example right now. But I would literally go through and just keep adding so I had all the exact same terms in here. So browse. Let's see if they also use race factors for racial disparities. Okay, they do. Great. Sometimes CINAHL and PubMed use slightly different terms. So where PubMed used race factors, CINAHL might use racial disparities. When I click search, again, it's going to throw it into the actual search to find the articles, but you'll see it puts it in my correct formatting that I wanted. I'm going to put it on again, put it somewhere, Word document, Excel, put it somewhere, save it. But now you can see the differences, like PubMed uses mesh, CINAHL uses MH, and in front of the word, not behind the word. And also their term is already in parentheses. So if I want to add in cardiac, I would do that. 4 keywords instead of using TIAB. Super easy, put it in quotes. But again, I would want to enclose that, all my heart terms together in their own set of parentheses. So there's more parentheses in CINAHL. If you've got a PubMed search that you are super good with, it is finding exactly what you need, but you're having trouble translating it to CINAHL, email me. I'd be happy to walk you through it. We can do a quick Zoom meeting and I can show you how to do it in like 30 minutes. You can also do it over email. Like, let me know. So again, let's just do racial disparities. Again, I would go through and make sure all my same words are in here. I would want it, it's never going to be an exact match. You want to get it as close as you can. So you can say with confidence, yes, I did the same topic search in both databases. All right. So clear that out. Search. 372. So again, we didn't use all the exact same terms as I did in PubMed. I only did 2 concepts versus 3. But 372 versus like 192, that's pretty similar. Your numbers will usually be very close between the 2, which also can help you say, oh yeah, okay, I did the same search in both of them. If they're like wildly off between PubMed, you really want to check your search because they do use a lot of the same journals in both of them. So they're going to not 100% the same, but very similar number-wise. So yeah, if it's like 200 off between the two numbers, just look at it a little bit more closely. Anything under 200 would be pretty normal. Same thing as in PubMed. I think I only got a couple minutes left, but you can go to see the search history. They actually just have a search history button. And again, you can copy and paste this to wherever you need it. You can like print the search history. I usually just copy and paste. And if you need to edit, we'll pull up the box with all the different like limits. CINAHL allows you to actually do peer reviewed. So if you want to be doubly sure that it's peer reviewed, CINAHL has a button for that. I also got the English language button. All the same stuff. Ages is in here, sex is in here. So it's all in here. You just have to use that, go to the search history, and then go to edit to make that pop up. All right, so I think I've got 5 minutes left. So with that in mind, I'm going to stop sharing. Questions? Does anybody have questions? And if you emailed me or if you put in the chat your clinical question, I'll email you later with some tips. Thank you for giving me an example to use instead of one of my ones I use every time. So yeah, I'll email you some stuff later. But if anybody else has questions, once you start working on your matrix and stuff, email me. This is what I like to do. I like looking up articles. I like that part of my job. So please email me, happy to help. And I'm actually going to, let me quickly paste those onto a Word document so I don't lose those questions in your names. I'm also going to go ahead and throw in, well, that didn't work, did it? All right, new plan. We're just going to take a picture of it because that's super technology. There we go. All right, so I'm going to throw in the file for the slides that pretty much has all the stuff I talked about today, but in slide format so you can like read through it. So let me do that right now. And again, I'm going to post it on the Nursing Research Guide page 2. This should be it right here. All right, so there's that slide. It's in the chat now if you want to go ahead and download it. But if you don't want to download it now, no big. It's going to be on that Nursing Research Guide. Remember to get there, ESKIN homepage, quick links, most used resources, research guides, Nursing Research Guide. That's a lot of steps. I'm going to post in the URL in the chat too. But yeah, if anybody has questions, feel free to unmute yourself, throw it in the chat. If you have questions later, again, email me. My email is rachel.l.walden@vanderbilt.edu. I'll put that in the chat too. All right. Here's the Nursing Research Guide. And here is my email. All right, well, I kept it under the time limit, which is good for me. Yeah, I'm done talking. So if you need to leave, leave. If you have questions, do you want to hang around? I'll hang around for a bit.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Rachel.